This video is made for an adult audience. Hey big fans, welcome back to the Big Bakery, where all our jokes are half baked. I'm Jacob and today it's time to finish off the raised section in my Lego city. In my last video I made some progress on my raised section in my Lego city, and since then I've had a lot of great suggestions on how to improve it, so that's what I'll be working on today. But without further ado, let's get into building. Adding train tracks to this here is going to require some different steps. First of all, I've got to remove these modular buildings up here so I have room to work. Second of all, I've got to remove all the scaffolding that's underneath these modulars so I can rework it all, because this wall is on 32 by 32 base plates, but because of the way that I've constructed my city's layout, this needs to be on 1 full and a half base plate. So that's a 32 by 32 plus a 16 by 32 base plate. I'm not sure how much sense that makes right now, but I'll show you once we get to it. It's got something to do with the way I've constructed my train station as well, but we'll get to that in a moment. First of all, I'll be removing these modular buildings and doing something to the scaffolding inside as well. There we go. I'll be turning this all the way around so I can actually manage to work with it and you folks have a chance to actually see what's going on. That's the scaffolding I've been using until now. I'll start by taking it all down and then adding 1/2 base plate on the back of this, so I've got room for that train track. That's the scaffolding removed, and I'm now ready to work on the train tracks. I've made this. This is the official ticker stick. This measures the height, or is equal to the height of the raised section, so it's going to be very useful once I start to put in scaffolding everywhere. Now I'll be adding these 16 by 32 base plates that's going to go here where the train track is going to run along. I'm not completely sure I'll be finishing the train track today because there's one more base plate here and then it has to turn that way. So I've got to think about how much room I need for that, but at least this part of it is going to be tracked today. There we go, that's the train tracks added. You might have a couple of questions. Why have I put a layer of plates below it? And that's because in the rest of the area where it's visible, I'm thinking I want to add ballasts. And you might also be asking why is he using the old 9-volt tracks? Is he going to run old 9-volt trains on this? And no, I'm not going to add 9-volt trains, not right away at least. And I'm using these because that's the ones I have. So that's the answer to that question. Now I just need to add scaffolding so I can actually put modulars up here. You might be thinking now that when I've added 1/2 plate down here, that's going to leave room up here, and that's true. So there's going to be some kind of walkway or something in front of the modular buildings that's standing on top of this. But the issue at hand, so to speak, is adding scaffolding for the modulars. That's the first step of the scaffolding. Now I need to make something to support over the trains here, and I've got to take into account how tall the trains are as well. So I need one of my trains to stand here while I build, so I actually have an idea of how tall everything is. This one is actually too low. So that's the next step, trying to put some cross beams here to make everything a little more stable. That's some cross beams added, and they are very, very stable, as you can see. No, but in reality, these cross beams aren't the ones carrying the weight. They're just here to stabilize everything. So it's not that big of a problem. They're not too stable. I could, of course, have done something where I, you know, added a layer of plates on top of this instead of here, which would have stabilized even more and maybe made it a little more stronger. But I think this will be all right. I think this will carry the weight fine. Now I've got to add some cross beams over here as well for more stability and to support that walkway that's going to be up here. That means I can add 1, 2, ooh, this is going to be unstable. I'm going to have to do some more scaffolding for this one, and 3 base plates for some kind of walkway in front of the modular buildings, maybe a small road or something. That'll look great, I think. This one, of course, needs a lot more scaffolding, but this and this, I think, is stable. A lot of scaffolding has been added. There's still room for the train to go underneath, and on the question whether or not there should be interiors for the small shops out here in front, the answer must be, well, maybe and not much, because it can't be very deep, that's for sure, because there isn't too much room. Next up, I'll shortly be testing out this turn here, because I really need the train tracks to turn that way down there and that way down there, and I do know that they do take up quite some space for a turn like that. So I'll have to put in the tracks to see where I need to put everything else. I had to remove one of these pillars to actually get this turn working, but I think this will hold well, or I can actually just move it here, I think, and that should be all right. The train won't get into any trouble with this, or even here, and that's more support. I can even the other way, turning it this way, perhaps this way, and having it up here but underneath this, then it's going to be fine, I think. So that's pretty good. Also, it turned over here and ends up at 4 studs from the edge, which is where it started up here, 4 studs from the edge. Now, I do have one plate beneath all this, which I need to continue. That'll be a mix of tiles and jumper plates to accommodate this swing, or turn if you will. And of course, I'll just add plates down here like I did up here, so I can actually continue the 1 plate high train track all the way around, so I can add ballast at some point. I've plated this, and I've also added tiles beneath this just to keep everything in height. I haven't added jumper plates because I'm fairly certain this is stable enough for the train to actually go past here. And yeah, it seems like I can actually make it through. So the next step with this, of course, would be to add the buildings that's going down here to finish off that tunnel. But for now, there are some suggestions that I need to attend to on the front of this. There were different suggestions regarding this. I think the general sentiment was that it was okay, it worked fine, but changing this with this, so the smaller one is in the middle of the two, would probably look better, and using another type of arch up here would also look better. I've got to see if I have that one. And there was also a suggestion that I lower these arches by 1 brick, because then the arch starts the same place here and here. I think my thought was that the arches would end the same place, which I thought was the best initially. was also a suggestion that I don't use the sand green and light tan in these walls. However, I personally do like them, but I do get the point. There's a lot of color going on, but I do like these colors intermingled with all the others, so I'm gonna leave that. But thank you for the suggestion, it gave me something to think about. I agree 100%, this is much better, and this arch works much better than the other one, which was much flatter. And I had to, there was someone who suggested that I lower these arches by 1 brick, because then the arches would top out at the same level. It's actually not a full brick, it's more like a plate or something like that, that it needed to be lowered to hit that same arch. But I do like it, and it was a great suggestion, so thanks a lot for that. And of course I need to put something in here. And there was a suggestion that I add an IT shop based on the old BIT shop or BIT shop I had in my old city, which I do like, but I'm also thinking it would be fun to add a TV repair shop, because then I could do a fun 3D sign with a television. A 3D sign for the TV repair shop. Now there are of course those who have the abilities to make this flush with the edge of this up here, but the math that goes into that is just, that's just beyond anything I can ever figure out myself. So if you have any kind of ideas for that, I'm all ears. I'd love to hear it. But I'm gonna leave it like this for now, and take any suggestions on how to get this flush up here if it's if people think that's necessary. Personally, I think it might not be, but I can see how it might look a little better if it was. I'm wondering if the dark red is too dark. When we have this brown on the television, it's almost like the television disappears just a tiny bit from the dark red. However, I do like the contrast between the white and the dark red, and I do like sort of the overall design. It's not too complicated, it's not too many things going on, but definitely a small shop, that's for sure. Yeah, any suggestions of course are welcome. I also need to add a 3D sign to this ramen noodle shop. So I'll try to figure something out. I've got some ideas with some eggs and some salad and such. Don't know how to do noodles as such, but yeah, we'll see. So here we go, that's my idea of a ramen bowl at least. I know there are some 1x1 round tile pieces which actually has printed eggs on them, but I think this looks convincing enough for me. And I've also added these golden pieces, which I think adds a wonderful little detail to the front of this shop. I've been thinking about whether or not I should add interiors to these small shops. And some did suggest that I add an interior for this one in particular, because it's so visible because of this big window here, which I do agree that that's going to be a good idea to actually have an interior there, even though it's going to be darker with these plates in, and when the modular buildings is on top here, it's going to be much darker in there. But some kind of interior, or at least a tiling in there, would probably be good. Other than that, I'm thinking I'll just add a block of black bricks inside, so it'll just be dark in there. If I ever get to that point where I start light up things, I might do interiors, but I think for now I'm gonna stick with the cheating, where I build something in black bricks and put it inside. Right, so that's a lot of detailing done. I've added some black bricks behind these doors so you can't see inside, but still get this feeling of these buildings. Now, I have also tiled in here all the way down. Don't know if you can see that. It's a bit dark in there, but I was wondering if I could in some way, shape or form mount these motorcycles in here, because then it could be a motorcycle repair shop instead. And I think that would look cool. So mounting them in some way, having them peeking out, maybe having a minifigure repair guy or girl doing his or her work would be interesting. So I'll see if I can do something like that. That's a motorcycle standing in there and some dude doing some repairs. I think this is this sort of keeps up the illusion of stuff going on in here, and maybe gives off sort of the idea that there's more to the interiors than there actually is. I think maybe adding more minifigures in front once I get everything done out here will add to that sensation as well. But I think this is where I want to be with this at this point. Another suggestion was to do something with these pillars here so they line up with these pillars here in a more systematic way. And the suggestion was that that might look a bit better. And I think I agree, so I'll attempt that. I agree, this looks much better, it's much more symmetrical, and yeah, it has an interesting look to it. And to compensate for the fact that these spaces here are actually 2.5 fence pieces wide, I've added 2 of these 1x1 pillars to simulate that these fences are actually 5 studs wide each. But I'll give you folks some glamour shots, and I'll be looking forward to any and all suggestions. I consider the raised section to be finished at this point. Maybe a few details here or there will be changed, and if I at some point way out in the future add light to my Lego city, I'll probably do something with the interiors in this raised section as well. In my next video, I'll be working on implementing this raised section in my Lego city. My current city has a very temporary look to it, and that's because I haven't really gotten around to do anything that's actually permanent. This is going to be one of the permanent fixtures in my Lego city, and I can't wait to implement it. So I hope you'll catch up with me in the next video. But that is all for me today. I hope you'll comment, like, and subscribe, and I hope I'll see you folks next time.